So you probably know something about the anti-war folk music movement in America, but what do you know about the parallel anti-war folk movement that happened in Japan? Today we're going to have a look at one of the most representative songs of the time. It's Wataru Takada's Jieitai ni hairou, meaning, why don't you join the army? Let's have a look. So I'm going to play the song in Japanese and English translation, but first let me give you just a short bit of background. So in the late 1960s, Japanese youth were holding many similar anti-war demonstrations to what were happening in America and other countries. A lot of American folk musicians traveled to Japan, including Joan Baez and Pete Seeger and others, and Japan experienced its own golden age of American folk influenced music, but it had its own distinct flavour. Of course, Dylan was huge as well, but he didn't actually get to the country until 1978, when he played the famous Budokan Hall with a capacity of 10,000 people, and he sold it out for 8 nights, I believe. Which was a record-breaking number for a foreign artist. But one of the native folk musicians was Wataru Takada. I first heard Wataru when I went to see him play live in Kyoto in 2004, which was just before his death the following year, 2005. And he left a big impression, not least because of his falling asleep halfway through his set, which was not uncommon for him in his later years. He was only 56 when he passed away, but he looked like he'd led a life that had left him with not much fuel in the tank, I would say. So he was born in Gifu, and his mother died when he was only 8 years old. And so his father took him off to Tokyo without any real plan of what they were going to do. And they lived in a series of unstable situations, including charity housing. And then his father died not that long after, by the time he was in middle school. He was introduced to American folk music in the mid-60s. And soon became so devoted to that kind of music that he actually got his English teacher to help him write a letter to Pete Seeger, the famous folk musician. And he waited for a couple of months and was had just about given up on Pete replying when he did get a letter from Pete, which gave him some general words of encouragement. And then Pete toured to Japan a year later, and he gave Wataru front row ticket to his concert. And so his fate as a folk musician was perhaps sealed from around that time. In 1968, he took part in the Kansai folk camp in Kyoto, and he moved there the next year to be part of what had become the real main movement of the Japanese folk scene at the time, and he became a central figure in that scene, along with figures such as Tomoya Takaishi and Nobuyasu Okabayashi. Later he returned to Tokyo and again became a major force in the folk scene that was then taking off there, which became known as the Kichijoji-ha folk. Let's have a look at the song.
皆さん方の中に自衛隊に入りたい人はいませんか？一旗あげたい人はいませんか？自衛隊じゃ人材求めてます。自衛隊に入ろう入ろう入ろう。自衛隊に入ればこの世は天国。男の中の男はみんな自衛隊に入って花と散る。スポーツをやりたい人いたらいつでも自衛隊にお越しください。槍でも鉄砲でも何でもありますよ。 とにかく体が資本です。自衛隊に入ろう入ろう入ろう。自衛隊に入ればこの世は天国。男の中の男はみんな自衛隊に入って花と散る。鉄砲や戦車や飛行機に興味を持っている方はいつでも自衛隊にお越しください。手っ取り足取り教えます。自衛隊に入ろう入ろう入ろう。自衛隊に入ればこの世は天国。男の中の男はみんな自衛隊に入って花と散る。日本の平和を守るためには鉄砲やロケットがいりますよ。アメリカさんにも手伝ってもらえ。悪いソ連や中国をやっつけましょう。自衛隊に入ろう入ろう入ろう。自衛隊に入ればこの世は天国。男の中の男はみんな自衛隊に入って花と散る。自衛隊じゃ人材を求めてます。年齢学歴は問いません。祖国のためならどこまでも素直な人を求めます。自衛隊に入ろう入ろう入ろう。自衛隊に入ればこの世は天国。男の中の男はみんな自衛隊に入って花と散る。
And English translation.
Hello my friends, are there any there amongst you who want to join the army, who want to learn to shoot? If there's any there amongst you who want to make a name, the army is recruiting, come and join today. Why don't you join the army, the army, the army? Why don't you join the army, the army's where it's at. For all of you men's men, the army is your best bet. Why don't you join the army and fall with the blossom? If there's any there amongst you who want to be a sportsman, well, just say yes sir, and I'll say now you're talking. We got the spears, and yes we got the guns, but really it's your body that makes the best weapon. Why don't you join the army, the army, the army? Why don't you join the army, the army's where it's at. For all of you men's men, the army is your best bet. Why don't you join the army and fall with the blossom? If there's any there amongst you who take an interest in guns and tanks and aeroplanes, well then, the army's always right here waiting. From the top down to the bottom, we'll teach you everything. Why don't you join the army, the army, the army? Why don't you join the army's where it's at. For all of you men's men, the army is your best bet. Why don't you join the army and fall with the blossom? To keep the peace, protect the people of Japan, we need the guns and rockets, we need the boys and men. Mr. America, he needs a helping hand to get the baddies there in Russia and beat the Chinamen. Why don't you join the army, the army, the army? Why don't you join the army? The army's where it's at. For all of you men's men, the army is your best bet. Why don't you join the army and fall with the blossom? Now the army's on the lookout for new personnel. Age and education can both go straight to hell. The only qualifications that you're gonna need are a will to fight for fatherland, an appetite for beans. Why don't you join the army, the army, the army? Why don't you join the army? The army's where it's at for all of you men's men. The army is your best bet. Why don't you join the army and fall with the blossoms?
So the song Jieitai ni hairou was based on a song that was written by Malvina Reynolds, the folk singer that's most famous for the song Little Boxes, and Pete Seeger together. So I believe it was Pete that read something in a newspaper about the country of Andorra that only spent $4.90 on their defense budget, and so he wrote this song with Malvina, and Wataru basically took the music from this song and put his own words to it. So I'll just play where it came from. So the original song, the chorus of it went, I want to go to Andorra, Andorra, Andorra. I want to go to Andorra, it's a place that I adore. They spent $4.90 on armaments and their defense. Did you ever hear of such confidence? Andorra, hip, hooray. So Wataru kind of simplified the music a little bit. It's pretty much as it is, really. And so he made a satirical song about joining the self-defense force. And he used the force's own sales slogans. It's pretty clear that the song is sarcastic, but apparently got a call up from the Department of Defense saying that they liked the song and that they wanted to use it for something. So it seems that they didn't get the joke. And later the song was kind of banned by the Japanese government. I don't think it was ever completely officially banned, but it was, for all intents and purposes, it wasn't able to be played on national broadcasters. So I've brought up on the screen the Japanese and English, so we'll go through and have a look at each of the phrases here. So it starts off with Minasan gata no naka ni Jietai ni hairitai hito wa imasen ka? Which I've translated as hello my friends, are there any of those amongst you? So minasan gata no naka ni, minasan gata no naka. So he's being quite polite in his speech, minasan gata no naka, as if he's speaking to a large group of people at a recruitment rally or something. So yeah, I've gone with hello my friends, are there any there amongst you? Jietai ni hairitai hito wa imasen ka? Now, Jietai is a tricky word here because it means self-defense force. In Japan, people are often very keen to make a distinction between an army and a defense force, which has to do with the constitution of Japan that came in after the Second World War, that says that basically Japan cannot hold a standing army. For all intents and purposes, I would say if you've got a defense force, you've got an army, and in most countries I guess we use both of those words. So for the purposes of translating this song, I've gone with army, which some people will take issue with, but if nothing else, it's quite hard to put defense forces, self-defense forces in a song. So I've gone with Jietai ni hairitai hito wa imasen ka, who want to join the army, and I've put in who wants to learn to shoot. Now the reason I've put that in is because so Japanese takes a lot more sounds, a lot longer to say than it does to say the same thing in English. So that means when you're translating songs, that you end up with all this extra space. If you're going from Japanese to English, you have all this extra space, which can be a problem or I guess an opportunity. So I've put in who want to join the army, who want to learn to shoot. learn to shoot, kind of generic sort of line, but it's there to rhyme with the any there amongst you first line. So I'm going to do a translation that's not completely literal, but is able to be sung as a song. So I guess there's different ways of translating things. And then it goes on, Hito hata agetai hito wa imasen ka? So literally that's, is there anyone that wants to put up a single flag? But the meaning of it, that is there anyone out there that's wanting to make a name for themselves? So I've gone, if there's any there amongst you wanna make a name. And then the final line is Jietai ja jinzai motomete masu. So jinzai is personnel, and motomete masu is after, is looking for. So I've gone, well, the army is recruiting, come and join today. And then we're into the chorus, which goes Jieitai ni hairou, hairou, hairou. Which some of the translations I've seen, they've said, let's join the army. But I think this song is somebody speaking to a bunch of people at some kind of recruitment conference. So you wouldn't say let's, you would say come on and, or something like that. But I've gone with, why don't you join the army? Why don't you join the army, the army, the army? Why don't you join the army? Jietai ni haireba kono yo wa tengoku. Kono yo wa tengoku is literally, this world will be like a heaven if you join the self-defense force, the army. I've just gone with the army's where it's at. Where it's at, I guess it's like a bit of a hipster term from, feels like it's from the 60s or something when this song was written, so I don't know, feels appropriate. And then Otoko no naka no otoko wa minna. Otoko no naka no otoko wa minna. So otoko no naka no otoko. It's interesting how this phrase parallels English quite closely. We have that term, a man's man, someone who is a man amongst men. So I've gone with for all of you men's men, for all of you men's men, and then the army is your best bet. Jieitai ni haite. So once again, I had a bit of extra space. I've put the army is your best bet. And Jietai ni haite. Why don't you join the army? And this last line is the only one in the song that's not satirical and is actually outside of the dialogue. And he says, Hana to chiru. So hana is flower and chiru is to fall, falling flower. So I've translated that as and fall with the blossom. And this sort of imagery is obviously pretty deeply ingrained in Japanese culture, with cherry blossoms and the falling of cherry blossoms being a common symbol for the ephemeral nature of the world and things and our existence. Yeah, so this is the only song that really gives you the clue that this is, everything else is satirical. And it goes on. Sports o yaritai hito itara. So if there's any there amongst you who want to be a sportsman, itsudemo jietai ni okoshi kudasai. So once again, he's being very polite here, saying not just kitte kudasai, saying okoshi kudasai, or kitte kure, or yeah, he's being very polite, okoshi kudasai. So I've translated that as just say yes sir, and I'll say now you're really talking. So yeah, it's not a very literal translation at all, but I'm rhyming talking with sportsman, rough rhyme, and the just say yes sir I guess gets the sense of it being something quite polite. Okoshi kudasai, Jietai ni okoshi kudasai, itsudemo, anytime, come and join the army. Yari demo teppo demo nandemo arimasu yo. Yari being spear and teppo being gun. So we've got the spears and yes, we've got the guns. Tonikaku karada ga shihon desu. So shihon is capital. So you have words like shihon shugi, capitalism. So I guess in that period of the 60s, this would have been quite a potent word. There was a pretty strong communist movement in Japan. So shihon being the opposite of that, your body is your capital, the capital that you can use to, I don't know, achieve something or buy some kind of purchase. But I've gone with, but really it's your body that makes the best weapon. I think that achieves the same sort of meaning. 槍でも鉄砲でも何でもありますよ。とにかく体が資本です。We've got the spears and yes, we've got the guns, but really it's your body that makes the best weapon. And then we have a chorus, and then back into 鉄砲や戦車や飛行機に興味を持っている方は So 鉄砲 guns and 戦車 tanks 飛行機 airplanes に興味を持っている方は興味 being to have an interest in if there's any, so I've gone with if there are any there amongst you who take an interest in guns and tanks and aeroplanes いつでも自衛隊にお越しください。The army is always right here waiting. 手取り、足取り教えます。So hands and feet 教えます teach you, it's basically saying we'll teach you everything, which I've translated as from the top down to the bottom. We'll teach you every single little thing. You don't need to worry, just come and join up. 日本の平和を守るためには鉄砲やロケットがいりますよ。So 日本の平和を守るためには So in order to protect the peace of Japan we need 鉄砲 and ロケット we need guns and rockets. So to keep the peace, protect the people of Japan, we need the guns and rockets. We need the boys and men. So once again, I've added the boys and men part of it to fill the gap and achieve the rhyme. アメリカにも手伝ってもらい、悪いソ連や中国をやっつけましょう。And he really squeezes in all these lyrics here. They don't fit even in the original Japanese. But I've translated that as Mr. America, he needs a helping hand. So America-san ni mo tetsudatte morai. So you can hear America-san by putting the san on there. He's being polite in a very sarcastic way. So I've gone with Mr. America. Mr. America, he needs a helping hand. Warui soren ya chugoku o yatsukemashou. And very simplistic language here. So wari, bad, the bad Soren being the Soviet USSR, which is of course now not in existence, and Chugoku being China, yatsukemashou, we're going to beat them up. The bad USSR and the bad old China. So I've translated that as to get the baddies there in Russia and beat the Chinaman. I guess I could have tried to put USSR in there, but it would have been quite a song translation feat. So, Jietai じゃ人材求めてます。年齢学歴は問いません。The army's on the lookout. 求めてます on the lookout, looking for something. For new personnel, 人材。年齢学歴は問いません。So, age and education, 問いません mean doesn't really matter. But I was looking for a rhyme here, so I've gone with age and education can both go straight to hell. Who cares about those things? 祖国のためならどこまでも素直な人を求めます。祖国 is fatherland or motherland, our country, quite a nationalistic way of saying it. Sokoku no tame nara dokomademo. So dokomademo, as far as you want, I'll do anything for the country. So I've gone with the only qualifications that you're going to need are a will to fight for fatherland. And then I had some space, so I said, and an appetite for beans. I don't know if they eat beans in the Japanese Jietai. I suspect they probably don't. But I guess in Western cultures we have that association between eating beans and being in the army. But maybe that's just me. Sokoku no tame nara dokomademo sunao na hito o motomemasu. I guess I haven't really put in the sunao na hito. Sunao na hito being just a straightforward, good, honest person. I've just said the only qualifications that you're gonna need are a will to fight for fatherland, an appetite for beans. So that's a look at the language. So I hope you've enjoyed this exploration of Jieitai ni hairou. If you've enjoyed this, please subscribe. We're doing translations of interesting Japanese texts every week. Thank you.